Hi, welcome back to our channel.
And today, let's imagine we're teaching a class about the subject of obedience. Depending on your past experience with the word obedience, you may have very different kinds of feelings.
So how is it with you? Check your heart very quickly because we've realized that practical advice,
No matter how sound they are,
struggles to take root if received on a foundation of negative emotions.
we therefore encourage you to address the potential wounds that you may have linked to trigger words like obedience.
And how would you do that? Maybe you've just realized that obedience is not neutral nor positive for you, but rather negative. Then sit with Holy Spirit and let Him reveal the hidden trauma or wounds that word carries for you. And only that way you can parent in freedom without those negative ties from your past.
So stay with us until the end of the video as we will share some strategies to support obedience.
Because obedience is truly beautiful.
But did you know that you can unintentionally make it easier
Or challenging.
for your kids to obey you?
For example, by repeating. Maybe you've caught yourself doing that. I surely have. If we repeat our instructions over and over and over again, it doesn't help our children to obey.
And we often end up frustrated ourselves because we realize that the weight of our words has no power.
And because of our frustration, we might go and repeat once or twice more. And if this becomes a habit, your child doesn't really trust your words and tries to delay obedience.
And another way is threatening. When we realize that our children are not obeying, it may escalate in that direction.
And then we pull out the big guns and say, if you do not do this, I will. And then we usually add a list of consequences that are just disproportionately harsh.
And the problem, it communicates to our kids that obedience is out of fear instead of cooperation and understanding.
And that's a big one. We don't want our kids to obey us because they're scared. And the next one is bribing. We sometimes slip into bribing if it's something that is very important to us or we just want some peace.
For example, if you're quiet for the next hour, I will give you an ice cream.
Ever said that?
And as you can imagine, the problem is we are teaching our children that only when they get something, they will obey.
The Bible is clear about the benefits of obedience in our own life because we need to be obedient too, but also our children's lives.
So check some Bible verse that we'll add in the description of this video. So let's look at one now, Matthew 5:37. May your yes be a yes and your no be a no.
Ooh, that's a huge one. We repeat that over and over again in every parenting class and to ourselves too. Our words need to be backed up by our actions. So every yes should always be a yes and every no should be a no. So don't promise, but also don't threaten with things that you won't follow through because it only confuses our children. Supporting obedience involves intentional communication. So as promised, let's look at some strategies. Firstly, go up to your child, call them by name before you give your instructions. This ensures that they're attentive and there's eye-to-eye contact, so you're sure that they're listening.
And if your children are deeply engaged into an activity,
Happens a lot. They're building Lego or playing with their dolls. Just give your instructions, but let them know they can do it in 5 to 10 minutes.
and then to signal understanding, teach your children a verbal response. For example, yes, mommy, yes, daddy.
This cultivates a habit of active listening and response. Let's not forget, it's not about compliance or just the convenience of having well-behaved children. Our goal is to instill in them the understanding why obedience is essential.
And let's not forget, there are times in life when we are told to obey and we don't necessarily understand why. And isn't it also very common in our lives when we deal with authority ourselves? Or with our relationship with God, we may not always understand, but we trust Him. And of course, we understand we just have a couple of minutes to speak about a huge subject like obedience.
But we might do another video about it, so stay tuned. And if you found this video encouraging, join us weekly for practical and life-giving insights on this beautiful journey called parenthood. Until then, bye.